All right, everybody. I am Andrew Badell. That is Drew Springsteen. We are live for No Dirt, Just Dialogue. Jordan will be joining us shortly. Lots to talk about. We got Tony Khan, not 100% owner of AEW, which was, I guess, trending on Saturday. And I understand why a major news outlet put it out there. But this is knowledge, common knowledge. If you've been paying attention, we have What's in the Box, and no, not Brad Pitt. It's WWE Monday Night Raw. There was a mystery box. We'll talk about that. Swerve Strickland and Kenny Omega. What a match last night on AEW Dynamite. In the main event, Swerve seems to be a full-blown heel juice. We'll talk about that. Chris Jericho's contract is frozen. That's what's been reported. We'll wait on that to discuss that here in a little bit. We'll talk about AEW Grand Slam, but before I get into all that, Juice, how the hell are you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. It's raining outside, a little windy, but always a good day for some dialogue without the dirt.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about weather because we had 5 days, it's like 5 or 6 days of 55 or higher.
Yeah, we're in that right now. We're getting that heat wave right now.
Yeah. We got 55 in 5 days in a row. The snow's melted, all gone. See you later. Boom, bang, bean, finito. No problem. Snow is out of here. Yesterday, 6 inches. This morning, another 4 inches. It's literally hell here. It really is. It is just hell.
Well, another hell that some might say is backing yourselves into a corner by giving Hangman Page the same stipulation Cody Rhodes was given. At Full Gear 2019, which is a long time ago, if you recall. That was, I believe, the first pay-per-view that AEW did after having Dynamites. Like the first time they had a show with weekly TV to build. Full Gear 2019, and famously, it was with Jericho and Cody. If Cody doesn't win, he'll never challenge for the title again. And he lost and had to go for, 3.5, 4 more years straight without ever challenging for it. Maybe relegated is the wrong word to the TNT title because it elevated that championship, I felt. But
sure, and they really
they
pushed Cody into that, and they made Cody like that was the entire focal point of like Cody's AEW career, which put the TNT title on the map. And even Tony Khan kind of spoke about that, where he said, TNT is that's not a secondary championship. I mean, okay, and they really tried to up the ante and make that title important. All due credit to Tony and Cody, but I hated the stipulation. I know you did as well, which we're going to get into. I never liked it with Cody. I don't like it with Hangman, but we'll get into it. Okay, what else you got?
I like the stipulation if someone has, won the title a few times, like with Hangman,
two-time champion.
So Hangman, I don't necessarily hate it, but you've already done this type of story to where we see what happened. What's going to happen. He either doesn't win it, and people have speculated, is he going to WWE? Is he leaving? Or
that's ridiculous. We could shoot that down right now.
Or it's okay, Hangman wins, but you just had MJF win the championship. So why would you book yourselves into this corner of one thing has to happen? Like there's a week window now where MJF can decide and marinate on things. And if he wants to come up with his own unique stipulation, I'm sure he could. So maybe this is just a swerve, no pun intended, but seemingly this is where we're going. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Listen,
You're pigeonholing yourself as thin as it is already to be one guy booking all these shows.
you are 100% pigeonholing yourself. I don't like it, and I hope MJF decides to, which I don't, as a heel, he wouldn't. So realistically, it doesn't make a ton of sense. But I'm saying for the character purpose of Hangman Page, basically, if MJF accepts and Hangman Page can never wrestle for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship again, and he loses at Revolution, I understand you want to put some momentum or some emphasis maybe on a secondary championship, but I don't like the fact that Hangman Page, and I know it's wrestling, and you could always sit back and be like, if something happens crazy where there's interference,
how can we get out of it?
Right. But at this point, like, don't book yourself into that corner. I think
And
MJF.
I think they want to take. Sorry, but I don't think AEW wants to take the a DQ on pay-per-view route either.
No,
I don't think they want to do that. They don't do that.
Yeah, which is another great point. They don't do that. They give you finishes. Now, on Dynamite, sometimes they'll give you a cliffhanger or whatever because that's television. You need to do that. Weekly episodic television. I mean, Juice's favorite show, Seinfeld, there really wasn't anything that I shouldn't say anything, but it really wasn't a show that went from episode to episode. It was its own unique episode every single week. Don't get me wrong, there were things that kind of bled into character-wise.
And they had some through lines, like 2 separate seasons had an arc, but they would only touch on those arcs in specific episodes. It wasn't every episode had to do that like current TV kind of is, where everything has to be touched on week to week.
Yeah. How I would get out of this is MJF, I put out the picture of Stone Cold Steve Austin yesterday from that WrestleMania 17.
That's funny.
But don't shoot yourself in the foot. Don't say anything because I wasn't referring to Hangman as Steve Austin. So stop. It was the other guy. But what I will say is that it almost came off very reminiscent, and everything is a callback. I mean, I think the Young Bucks did the Shawn Michaels Bret Hart kick to the wheelchair.
Everything's an homage. Yes.
Sure. And for me, listening to that, it felt very similar to that. And that promo stuck with me, the sit down with Steve, The Rock, and Jim Ross, because it was a great one. Truthfully, it really was. And it really sold, not that the pay-per-view need any more selling, but I mean, that one put it to a different level. And when you could talk real, it always works for me. And that was very reminiscent of that sit down with, I need to win the championship. I need to be the champion.
Maybe even Jim Ross floated that idea.
Maybe.
It's nice having all these types of guys in your company that can,
all
it takes is a text, because who's running the show. It's like, hey, what if we did something like this? Or remember this, and I think that's a benefit of having multiple ways of communication, even though I still think maybe there should be some people around, an assistant of booking, because it's a lot of stuff to balance all the time.
Sure. And, credit to MJF. He came off very, very different yesterday. And I thought his promo, he's always good on the mic, but I thought his promo was exceptional. That felt different. It was a different type of MJF delivery promo wise. And I dug it. I really did. It really pushed this match into something different. And MJF didn't just rest on what he's done before in terms of promos, which was your father's a crackhead, your mother's a drunk, your brother's dead, your sister's aunt's uncle's dead. And I understand that. Like, he's a heel. I get it. But he really, in my opinion, showed his chops yesterday in terms of being different and being able to deliver, and MJF being real. He could be a bad guy and still be real. And I thought MJF was in that promo. I don't like the stipulation with Hangman. And I don't expect MJF to do this, but if he would, I would dig it where MJF says, hey, listen, cowboy, I don't want you to not fight for this championship. I want to beat you over and over and over again if I have to, because you're not on my level. That something to that extent. Doesn't need to be verbatim, obviously, but I want something where Hangman doesn't have to not challenge for the championship, because truthfully, if that's going to be the path that they take, Hangman's got to win. Having Haim out of the World Heavyweight Championship title picture forever seems like a miss to me, because Hangman's not going to WWE. So you're going to have him for the next, I don't know, 2-3 years not fighting for the World Heavyweight Championship. So what are you doing? You're going to pair him with Swerve for a couple months? Swerve's a heel now. So, I mean, I don't like it. I don't like it because it's professional wrestling. You can get yourself in and out of anything, truthfully, storyline wise.
Normally, yeah.
Right. But this just seems like an AEW is very good at not doing that. They're very good at like not saying they're going to do something. And then all of a sudden they'll be like, well, there's this little loophole that we're going to do now. They don't pull the wool over your eyes with that stuff. And I think that's why they've been successful as being the alternative in that retrospect.
They respect their fan base, knowing that there's so much history. You can't ignore the history of tropes in wrestling and things that have happened before. And okay, you could get out of this. My thing is like Hangman was the one who decided this. You know, it would have been different if MJF suggested it to Hangman. I would have felt a little differently because then maybe Hangman could have given him back an idea that they could agree on, because it's not of MJF's character outside of what you suggest, where I want to beat you over and over again. And then to me, that makes it seem like, would a better idea be maybe not the AEW world title at all, but in the same realm of, it's the opposite of what you said, but similar in a way where as long as MJF has a championship, Hangman can't challenge for that championship no matter what it is, tag, TNT, anything. And because think about it this way. So Hangman loses this match. If that's the stipulation, is he never going to go into the Owen Hart tournament because you automatically get a world title shot? Is that like
anything, Juice? It's just
you pull yourself out of all these other things.
It's too many moving parts. The Texas death match, I mean, cool. For me, I don't know why Texas death matches don't take place in Texas. Just call it
the last one did.
I know, but just call it a death match. That's what you're.
But it's the historical significance of it, and they don't want to get rid of that. The Texas death match for Halloween Havoc 93 took place in New Orleans. No one bitched about that.
That's why WCW's out of business.
Nah, that's not why WCW's out of business. And that match
is one of the many reasons.
That match was one of the most highly regarded matches in history.
I'm not dogging on the matches. The Texas death matches.
I didn't create the history. I just respect the history. Okay. How many Chicago street fights have taken place outside of Chicago? How many street fights that should just all be in Philly are named Philly just because they're in close proximity? It is what it is, Drew. We're over the semantics. Let it take place where it needs to be. He's the Hangman. He's the cowboy. Cowboys live in Texas. That's a
New York knockout match in Schaumburg, Pennsylvania, like Schaumburg, Illinois. Stupid. Just stupid. Stupid. That is something that bothers me. It is what it is.
Okay, well, you bother me, but we're still doing this show.
Well, I mean, feelings mutual. Feelings mutual. Listen, I don't like the stipulation. Everything else was fantastic. I wonder how MJF is going to respond on Wednesday. I thought that was
it's a nice hook.
It's a good cliffhanger. Yeah. It's a good hook too. I'm not stupid cowboy. I'm going to take a week to think about this. You know, that type of stuff. I really like that type of stuff. I think it works. But I don't like Hangman Page not being able to challenge for the world championship. I think that sucks. I really do. Everything else on Dynamite, again, you know, Dynamite's been on a roll, in my opinion. They've had some. Grand Slam was a good show. I thought last night was okay. I put that in my short review. The Bucks and FTR segment, Stokely was okay. It just felt like it.
There's only so much you can do with these guys.
Yeah, and I felt like the crowd was not into it, and that's tough. Swerve and Omega put on a fantastic match. That ending too. It seems like, you know, Swerve Strickland is a heel. I love me some Swerve Strickland as a heel, so it works.
I think he's more of I'd say almost more of a tweener, because he's taken out people from the elite specifically, and I don't think that's necessarily heel work, because if it comes down to Swerve versus MJF, Swerve's not a heel, you know. Right. So and people would love Swerve. He's still doing the Who's House, so people are responding to that. That's not necessarily heel work. I still think they'll do it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm not necessarily all saying that he's a full-fledged heel. I just think heel tendencies like pulling Aubrey in the way of the move, but that's what good wrestlers do to win, is they find any way to win. And the vertebreaker to the announce table was psychotic. So
that's also not a face ending. Like that's not a good guy ending. It's
but
what
he's
Swerve is.
consistent. That's where I'm saying
Sure.
is he's taking out Hangman, the Bucks. He's going after the elite. So
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are writing Kenny off, and
maybe
I mean,
for a
it's
little bit, maybe for the pay-per-view, like he won't be at the pay-per-view, but
I still think there's a good shot he will be at that pay-per-view. Now, do I think he's going to have a
Sure.
match? I don't know. We'll see though. And again, Willow retaining the TBS championship was the right call. I don't know where Tekla is. I thought that was a miss.
Not on Dynamite.
Where's Ciampa?
I don't know.
Fletcher. Where's Fletcher in a match? Like
Yeah.
what are we doing?
Now, did I see or did I not see that there was a rumor that some people were under the weather from the trip? So maybe they just so they wouldn't show up if they're under the weather, not going to perform at 100%, and they'll be on the show next week. You got 2 hours to fill. What are you going to do? Maybe they'll be on Collision this week. We don't know.
All right.
You're making good points, and I do wonder where all
you just crowned a new women's champion. The internet was a buzz about it because a lot of people were shocked. We saw Stat, who's your former champ, but we didn't see Tekla. We didn't see Tekla on Grand Slam or Dynamite.
Maybe that's strategic. Maybe Tekla wants to figure out where she's going to be next. Where in the world is Tekla?
All right, I'm going to bring in Jordan. Jordan is here. He's going to talk about what we saw on AEW Dynamite as well. Let's see if we can get him in here, if the producer can bring him up. Jordan, what is going on?
What's up, y'all? So coming in where y'all was at, no, I did not like the Hangman stipulation. I hate it. It takes him because as a competitor, why take yourself out of contention for your company's best prize? Like if I am the Thunder here, and I say, if I can't beat if I lose to San Antonio one more time, then I'm not going to go to the finals. Then I refuse to be in the playoffs. It doesn't make sense. Like, competitorship wise, like I can understand you goading him in, but I believe there were better stipulations for Hangman to imply to goad MJF into giving him this title.
Does this type of stuff happen in New Japan or
no?
Okay.
Drew can't come up with one other company.
No, I can come up with another company. I'm just saying I know it doesn't happen in WWE. I know it doesn't happen in
I don't think it has. It ever happened in WWE?
No, I'm asking because I don't think so.
No,
I mean, I think there's.
Didn't WCW have something like that though, where like I can't?
I remember someone was like, but I can't. It's very rare. It's just funny that now it's twice within 6 years of AEW, and they're going to this. Well, now I still think there's a chance that they switch it and figure something else out, but
I think they have to.
Will they?
I
know they do.
Jordan, Jordan, the reason I ask is because I know and Juice is, a historian. He's our WCW and for the most part, our professional wrestling historian in terms of things that I don't remember, I don't know. But I'm going to ask you this because I know you're a big New Japan. I know you watch a lot of the women's wrestling that I don't catch, and I know you probably watch other wrestling that I don't catch. I don't fully understand why we continuously try and translate or compare or make the parallels of professional sports where wins and losses absolutely matter and they're the end all be all, and professional wrestling. I don't get it. I don't get why we're doing this. Professional wrestling is, fixed entertainment, and I love it. I love professional wrestling, but at the end of the day, like we can't continue to try and make this sport. It's not sport. It's entertainment.
I agree with you, and I understand, though I just made the comparison. I think the reason why is because it's the only comparable way to translate competition, right? The entertainment industry doesn't really have any form of competition. The music industry rarely has competition between, so sports is really one of the true things where you can have
bad boy, but go ahead.
But it's rare. It's rare you see, East Coast, West Coast. We just got off Kendrick and Drake, but like these types of monumental things, it's a rarity. But
my example was very dated. The kids are probably like, "Who's that?"
It's a great one.
We know it is a great one, but definitely dated yourself with that one, Drew.
But I think people make they draw the line. Well, I won't say draw the lines, but draw the conclusions to sports and wrestling because it's the only place where you can see side A versus side B.
No, and I get it. What I was saying was you talked about the Thunder and the Spurs, and rightfully so. I understand what you're saying. The stipulation sucks. It sucks when Cody did it. It sucks when if WWE did it, I would say it sucks too. I don't like it. I hope MJF says, which you weren't here for, but I hope MJF says, "Hey, listen, Cowboy, as long as I'm champion, I want to beat your ass over and over and over again because you're not on my level. I'm better than you." I don't.
You lose, you get another opportunity next month.
No, I don't want them to do that. But
another eliminator.
I don't want Hangman to be the guy who's settling under and trying to elevate these other championships, whether it's the TNT or whether it's the Grand promotional, whatever the hell they're calling it, championship as well. Like, I don't want that either, man. I don't. Hangman is a fixture in the world title picture. He's a main eventer. Cody was too, and it sucked when they pulled him out of it. Everybody wanted everybody wanted Cody to win the big one. And I feel as if Cody did that purposely to not have that moment which he had in WWE be kind of like, well, you did win the one in AEW.
Right. Yeah, and it was the beginning. So like there was never a chance for him to get to that spot. Yeah. He cut it off immediately.
There's a few storytelling elements to this to where I can't understand it, but I can start to maybe see the vision. Do you guys know who was involved in the Cody decision to now no longer challenge for the title? You guys remember who threw in the towel? It was MJF.
Yeah, MJF. Because I hearkened it back to Owen and Helen Hart throwing the towel in, Bob Backlund and Bret Hart Survivor Series 94.
I don't know if they are kind of playing with those story elements that, hey, you did it. I will say this. There is a loophole way out of this, but they've booked themselves into a corner. And I love AEW. You guys know this. I love all of wrestling. I'm not going to say. They booked themselves into a corner because if you find a loophole out of the stipulation, then the stipulation was stupid to begin with.
They do with MJF stating like, hey, I'm going to take a week to think about this, Cowboy. I hope that we get something different, truthfully, in terms of like MJF saying, that's been done before. I don't want that again. I don't want him to say he wants his soul, but I want something different,
And I do want to also point out, because I saw a couple of murmurs of, is this the end of Hangman's run in AEW? Stop. Yeah, I hate that. That. Word is, I believe he re-signed in 2023. So we're going to see him for a little bit longer.
I believe his contract runs through 2028. I don't have everything.
Yeah, it was a 5-year. Yeah.
At the end of the day, too, like Hangman Page is not going to WWE because it's not happening now. I just don't see it. I'm sorry. There's a lot too. There's a lot with Punk and everything else. This
storyline isn't the indicator of someone leaving, because and the only reason why I bring that up is because someone brought it up, akin to Cody. Cody left like 2 years after that. It was a while after that story. He didn't immediately leave. So I don't think this is an indicator on Hangman's future. But again, regardless, like you said, I don't want to see Hangman bolster up other divisions, because like there are better ways if you want to do that. There are more efficient ways.
I also saw the rumors of Hangman Page like retiring. I mean, if he wants to retire at 36, go for it. That would be 2 years from now. Go for it. I don't see it. And again, I said to Juice, I think Hangman is a focal point in that World Heavyweight Championship title picture. And I don't want to eliminate somebody from that title picture because, again, I think the Revolution match, you want to add a stipulation to it, by all means. Whatever type of gimmick match you want to run, by all means. But if you put this stipulation about Hangman never challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship, again, if he loses, he almost has to win. Because I don't want to see them go down this Cody Rhodes path. I think it's recycle, reuse, and I'm going to regurgitate. It's garbage. I don't want it.
It's a stipulation that's too predictable, right?
Sure.
For example, whenever someone puts their career on the line, you can kind of predict and read the tea leaves of what is going to happen or what isn't going to happen.
Unless you're AJ Styles.
We'll get into that.
Shout out to the PC. I don't, predictability in wrestling can be good, but it can also be a detriment. And I think this is one of those things where it's a detriment. Now, another thing to kind of, I wanted to add in on because I was, listening in. I just want to say cue the frog for me because I did say that Kenny would be written off this week. And he was effectively written off this week. Thank you. I'll take that. I will take that. He was effectively written off this week.
Let me tell you something. He's back on the show next week. You're gonna get I'm gonna have to find an angry frog. Go ahead. It looks like he is being written off. So go ahead.
Well, but I will, to your credit, there's still that window because if you ask me, because the bigger thing I wanted to get at is that if he is indeed not going to be on Revolution, so are you mean to tell me we're not going to have Kenny and Swerve?
No, I think Swerve will be in some sort of match at Revolution, and I think that's maybe when you see Kenny return. And I'm not going to rule out that Kenny's not wrestling on that card just yet either. We'll have to wait and see. What I will say again is perfect example, like Swerve and Hangman, right? If we are decide to go there, if Swerve ends up in the World Heavyweight Championship title picture, or Hanger's the champion, or Swerve's the champion, I want to see those two lock up again. This stipulation with Cody when they did it failed. It failed, and I'm going to be as honest as I always am. It failed horribly. Cody tried to elevate the TNT title, which they did, and then it got to a point where we were like, bro, I just wish Cody would win the big one. And it was smart from Cody's standpoint as an individual to do it because he knew in the back of his head, I'm going to go to WWE, okay? That's not the deal here with Hangman. That's the difference.
Yeah, and it was a selfless move from Cody because he knew he had the power to be like, I don't want to be looked at as, oh, he's only getting title opportunities because he helped create this thing.
Yeah.
But by writing himself out of it, people clamored just for him to be in the title scene because you can't do it anymore if you can't challenge for it. Even if he never wins it, at least he'd have been in there.
And Jordan, we talked about this, but AEW has done a masterful job of always delivering with their storylines in terms of what they say and the steps and everything else like that, and giving you finishes, actual finishes, not schmazes, not this, not that, and kind of not, pulling the wool over your eye with anything. And they don't backtrack. They don't say something and not deliver. All right. I don't want them to do this and then try and find some like loophole. I don't want to do that.
And that's the problem, because if you find a loophole, then you admit that the stipulation was stupid to begin with. You're admitting that, hey, this didn't work. So if all of this is just to find a clever loophole out of it, why do it in the first place?
Right. And that's the other thing too. Dynamite, everything on Dynamite I thought was solid. It was an okay episode for me. There were a couple things, like I stated at the beginning of the show and on my short review, which we talked about at the beginning of the show as well with Juice. Where's Tekla? I would have liked to have seen that. Where's Ciampa? Kyle Fletcher too. I mean, I understand, he had two matches. There was Briscoe wasn't even on the show. And I know he went to war with Fletcher at Grand Slam Australia, but what are we doing with that type of stuff?
There was that report that the show had to be rewritten and that they were, from what I did, did a little research.
We're going to talk about people being sick. All right. Moving on.
Allegedly, but though it was before the trip, so they're thinking somebody may have came to work sick, got everybody sick.
Some people get sick, I get it, but
But what?
I'll
Like, why
say
is
this.
that not good enough for you, Drew? You're just like
You know,
dismissing it like it's so
I'll say,
believable
I'll say
and
why it's
normal.
not
They
good
are
enough.
on. They could be on TV next week, and it's all moot. Who cares?
I'll say why it's not good enough, because you just had two new champions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
And Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher we finally got the pink strap belt that everybody's been clamoring for, right? You don't show that. You don't talk about that. Tekla finally got her win, her big win.
Just because I'm drinking pink coconut water, you think I want a pink strap?
Hey, that's where I can agree with you there. They don't even show, to my knowledge, they not even show a video or anything.
They didn't even show a video or anything. So I think you're missing the boat. Like, I get it. People are sick. You got to rewrite the show. Things happen.
Sure.
This is the age of technology where you can do pre-tapes and things like that. Like, take advantage.
Was there a Will Ospreay vignette as well?
There was an Ospreay vignette. I will say that there was an Ospreay vignette. Good. Which was probably, they've been running that same vignette for the past couple of weeks. Yeah.
So again, they did show a highlight of Tekla and all that other stuff, but I mean, like, she's sick. Okay. Get her in a pre-taped interview or have her live via satellite or whatever they want to call it with the strap.
And then because people need to visually see her with it.
That's a new champion.
I think, because I think that it would also have helped seeing Tekla, because Thunder Rosa made a challenge to someone who wasn't on the show.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really, you need to, as much as we are audio creatures, we're visual creatures as well. Like, I need to be able to see.
I'm watching this for 2 hours plus for my entertainment. And if I like it, I don't like it, whatever it is, what it is. I'm going to be honest, because that's what you should be in a world full of people who try and just like kind of tiptoe. I saw everybody who are clamoring for a Tony Khan response on social media, which is fine. I get it. And it's like Baskin Robbins. There's 31 flavors. A lot of people like a lot of different things. And I did think it was a decent episode of Dynamite. I thought the episodes before were far superior. Now, again, my opinion, but I am not going to just sit back and be like, all right, you know what? This is a really good episode, because there were some things that were missing for me in terms of what satisfies my palate. But with that being said, I want to talk about something that I think is done on purpose, but I want to get your guys' opinion on it, because again, it's taking up television equity, which is huge in the professional wrestling and any sports entertainment business, and television in general. We had Hook sit down in an interview, basically. It's not really an interview. It's a vignette. It's a promo. And he basically hammered, which he's hammered before, but I mean, he is hammering it, that he is the de facto leader of the ops. It almost feels like that thing where my son, I'll use this as an example, right? He knows dad's in charge. Now, if I leave for the weekend, I'm like, hey, you're the man of the house. You understand? Take care of your mother, make sure your brother and sister-in-law. It seems like, and then all of a sudden I'm back, right? And he's like, well, dad, and then I go to the grocery store or whatever, and he's like, well, I'm the man of the house. Dad's gone. I didn't say that. So it seems like Hook has got the little, like, I'm the de facto leader. And I have a funny feeling Samoa Joe's going to return and said, who put you in charge? I didn't put you in charge. Because if not, and this is just AEW and Hook beating us over the head that he's the leader, we got it. But I dug what they're doing in terms of, I sent Shibata International to handle our international business. Smart. I think that's going to come back as well. I think this is a deep-rooted storyline because it's getting equity on television. I also believe that, for me, him hammering the fact that he is a former Division I, highly recruited lacrosse player who is an actual athlete, not just, this person or whatever, because it puts him in a different echelon. All right. And he's a heel. So it works. The second generation stuff he's been doing for a while. This stuff now works for me because it's like, oh, because you think you're an athlete, you're better than all of us. When in reality, to be that type of athlete, you are better than majority of the population in terms of athletic ability. So I dig it. But I pose this to you guys. Do you think this is done, the leader, I'm the de facto leader, blah, 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 on purpose? and there's going to be a storyline that's intertwined with it? Not because I just said it, your own personal opinion. Or do you think that AEW is just hammering this? Because if they're hammering it, we got it.
Like, for the sake of hammering it, I hope that that's not the case. I hope it is just Hook getting, too big for his britches, and Samoa Joe comes back and beats his ass, or at least give me a quality match between the two. Even if it's not on pay-per-view, just give me something I can sink my teeth into with Hook and Samoa Joe, because just even on paper, just reading like the son of Taz, because you know who Taz is and what he brought to the table, facing Samoa Joe is very enticing. And then when you know it's Hook and how good he is in ring and as an athlete, as they've put in there.
Don't forget Taz and Joe in TNA. I mean, Joe was his protege, all that other stuff. So I mean, it works.
And to hammer the athlete stuff, I always just think of back when Jim Ross was at the helm in WCW. Everybody that came through, he's a Division I college football and Florida State, and it's just
Dr. Death, Steve Williams. They did it with the Steiners.
They did Ron Simmons, everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody,
and it does lend a lot of. It lends a lot of credibility. It lends a lot of credibility to a talent. And I don't need Hook wrestling every week. I know a lot of people, the guy's got to wrestle every week. Man, I know the mystique and the aura of Hook is him not being on your television every single week in a match. Otherwise, it's kind of like, I mean, he's very plain Jane. He really is. And it's done by design, in my opinion. It's unique. But again, this leads me to believe that it's almost like the little brother syndrome. I'm the leader. Who put you in charge, bro? I didn't put you in charge. That type of stuff.
I think it's twofold. I think that one, they do have that idea of, Joe, because I think this is the avenue to get Joe back face, right? I think, because ultimately what I think the ops will be turning on Joe. When Joe comes back, Hook's going to have people, because he's recruiting. He's going to have his people. Joe's going to come in and be like, who put you in charge? But they're going to respect Hook's leadership more than they respect Joe, and they're going to jump him, turning Joe face. Now, what I really think, though, is I think that they don't really know what to do right now. Because, okay, Shibata's no longer in the ops. Okay, cool. Joe's hurt. Okay, cool. Who are the ops then? I feel like we would have, there should be an idea of who is, and I think they don't really know. I think they have an idea. I don't think they really know. So I think the idea is right now, hey, Hook, cut these promos, until we get a closer date for Joe, because they're not going to, I don't think they'll debut the new ops until Joe is a few weeks out. Right? Because you're not going to run the ops while Joe is out for another 4 or 5 months. It's not going to make sense. So I think they're in a kind of a holding place right now to where they're trying to find people to fill in the ops roles and wait for Joe to come back. So
yeah, and all the while Hook is adding to the group, and Joe's like, this guy,
exactly. So Joe's sitting back is like, this guy, who, what, comes back. Who put you in charge? Who said, I didn't give approval on this guy? I didn't give approval on that guy. And they look around to each other, and then they're going to jump Joe. I think that's the best way to get that story. But I think as of this moment right now, as of last night, I don't think they have anybody in mind. I don't think there is any ops.
Yeah, I mean, if we go and look at AEW's heels versus face kind of who's who, if you look at it right now, you have Swerve, you have MJF in the main event title picture. You have the faces being Hangman Page, Kenny Omega. Who else right now? You'd have Will Ospreay when he comes back.
Will Ospreay.
Yeah. I mean,
you can put Andrade in on the heel side because he did say he, wants to compete for a world title.
And you could you could put Brody in as the face. I don't think we're there yet with either of them.
No, I think Brody needs a little bit more cooking to be more of a mainstay.
But he did challenge for the world title, which Andrade has not. So I would
keep so I'm going to put Brody ahead of Andrade. Sure. I say Andrade needs a little bit more wins.
Andrade hasn't had it yet.
Yeah. I think Okada should be a heel in the world title picture, which we haven't seen yet either. We have the producer wants to put that up. The Young Bucks are a tag team. Don't get me wrong, main event tag team, but they're a tag team. It's like putting Copeland and Christian. Right now they're a tag team. Are they main eventers?
Yeah.
Sure, but they're a tag team.
Yeah.
Speaking of a tag team, where in the hell has Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, and MVP been?
So
question.
Bobby is hurt currently, and I believe his recovery isn't going as expected. Last I saw, but we were seeing a little bit of a singles. I don't want to say push, but he had about 2 matches, and that was Shelton. So I don't exactly know why we're still not hammering home Shelton just as an athlete, as a competitor. You know,
challenger for the TNT Championship. MVP is his mouthpiece. Like, what are we doing?
Or going after the international with Ricochet.
Sure.
There's still a little bit of history there.
There's a lot of people right now. My point being, there's a lot of people, and I think we're going to see CNC on AEW television shortly. There's a lot of people that AEW is paying a lot of money to that are not on weekly television, and we're talking about big names: Christian and Copeland. Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley is hurt. Okay. MVP. I mean, I'd have to go down the list. I mean, I'd have to bring up their roster off the top of my head. I mean, but I mean, those are 3 names that should absolutely be on television weekly at this point. We've had a lot of time in between Copeland and Christian since September. So, Juice, you going to say something?
No, I was just gonna say, like, you're bringing up how many, like, I don't know, this comes off negative, but like important players that are.
I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just saying.
I'm saying this might come off negative, but what I'm saying is you're mentioning some of the more important main event players that are being paid that aren't on TV.
Yeah.
I could come up with twice as many that aren't as important or more recently signed that are still not being featured.
Yeah.
And yet I'm seeing people get signed and have immediate TV time, your Ciampas and the Rascals. There's only 4 hours of TV and main stage AEW programming, and I don't know where the hell all these talent fit.
The reason I bring this up, to Juice's point, is because MJF did a sit down with, I believe, the New York Post. And I thought it was a very good sit down. And I think MJF spoke in absolute truths. He did. I think that AEW is turning a corner. I think there's a lot of different things that a lot of people are sinking their teeth into. I think they're gaining momentum. And what's interesting is they're gaining momentum, I would say, this last 2 months. Well, I'll even go 3 without some of these high paid veterans. And I think that's the way to go. Truthfully, you can bring these veterans in like a Copeland and Christian and a Shelton Benjamin and a Bobby Lashley, and they can help elevate if that's the business they are going to do. If they're just going to continue to protect their brand and their investment, I get. But at the end of the day, we need to make sure that AEW is here when Copeland, Christian, MVP, whomever else, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin want to step outside, Billy Gunn, whomever want to step out and split. And Billy Gunn doesn't take up any television equity. But when they want to split and they want to go home and they want to be retired, or maybe they want to go back to WWE, same thing with Jericho. That type of stuff. Like, if you're going to succeed in this lane, in being the alternative, your homegrown, quote unquote, or the guys and girls you want to elevate, that's who you need to push.
So I agree with you, but see, this is where I believe the ownership needs to, fans need to start taking responsibility for our reactions and how we view and treat wrestling and wrestling stars. Sure. Because without those veterans, without that presence, people would say the roster has no credibility.
Well, you see, I didn't name Moxley. I didn't name Okada. These are guys who come in. I know they're making a lot of money, but they come in and they do business. FTR, you can hate on FTR all you want. You know how many tag teams FTR's put over?
I mean, not many, to be honest.
I mean, they have. They made the Outrunners, and the Outrunners are nowhere to be found now because the Outrunners had
right,
but I mean, they had huge momentum and it was stalled because a lot of people didn't want to do things. I'm just saying, look at Ricochet. Ricochet's come in and he's not trying to get involved in the World Heavyweight Championship picture. He's come in and he's done fantastic work with the championship he's been given. And he's not trying to be anything else than what got him to the dance in the first place. Is Ricochet potentially AEW World Heavyweight Champion? Sure. Down the road, man, maybe, I don't know. But he's there doing things. The women's division is another
and he's a leader of a group too, so he's got a couple other people he can help along in this whole process.
Yeah. I mean, and the other thing too, before what's his face got hurt, the kid who was Nick Wayne. Like Nick Wayne was getting a ton of television time too, and I like Nick Wayne. And it's just there's a lot of he got hurt. Yeah. But I mean, there's a lot of people right now who Takeshita should be on television weekly. I could beat this home day in and day out, but we don't need to. I just think that if they're going to do something and they're going to continue to have this momentum and they're going to continue to be the alternative and change, and you're seeing it, the groundswell, anything that's happening that people are talking about, do not involve the vets. They don't. And that's what you want. And and you could thank Moxley and you could thank a lot of these other people who helped do this, Jericho before this. But now it's time to go with the quote unquote new generation. We saw this in WWE, and I know it's because of the steroids that they really had to push this. They had to go with guys like Brett and Shawn and other things because they couldn't put the championships on some guy that looked like he was roided out. Vince wanted to get away from that. I get it. But the new generation also forged a completely different type of entertainment for WWE, in my opinion. And AEW should focus on that. And they are. And that's what I like, truthfully.
And I think it's also great that they're doing, these better episodes of TV in a time where they've got the longest period in between pay-per-views. We've talked about it, like after World's End, it's like, oh my God, there's only there's 3 months in between. And what are they going to do week to week on TV? And they're doing a pretty good job. And if you're watching at home, Team USA women just scored the golden goal in overtime to beat Canada. Hell of a goal. Congratulations to them. Wow.
Congratulations to Team USA. The women's are your gold medalists. That's awesome. Again, you need the vets. You do. You need the vets. You need the credibility. Once they lend it, once they get you the impressions, the eyeballs, once you could sit back and say, all right, AEW's got Jericho. They got Jon Moxley. They got this guy. They got that guy, Bobby Shelton. They got Edge, who's going by Copeland. They got Christian. Whoa. All right. Let me pay attention. Wait. Who? All right. Whoa. Who's this guy? All right. Can we elevate this? It doesn't need to happen overnight, but you don't need to be the guy or girl hogging everything, because at the end of the day, that's never going to help AEW. And it starts and stops with the promoter and the booker and the owner and the CEO and the head of creative. That's where it starts and stops.
But it's a hard situation to be in, right? Because if I got Bobby Lashley, it's kind of hard not to give that man TV time. Is Bobby
Lashley? Give him TV? I'm not saying don't give him TV time. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying Bobby Lashley should not be winning every single match that he's in for 2 years. I'm not saying he has. I'm just giving you an example.
Yeah, just an example. Yeah. I can understand that. Yeah, the essentially what you're really saying is these guys need to stop being marks for themselves.
I mean, yeah, your words, not mine. But what I will say is, I can't. Who is Bobby, MVP, and Shelton put over? Who has Copeland and Christian put over more recently?
The Hurt Syndicate definitely helped the demand. I'll put it to you like that. They I'll say that.
They helped Ricochet get over, and they even had the thing with MJF being a part of their run there. But MJF didn't need it.
Christian and Copeland.
Who?
Okay, but this is what I'm trying to say.
Literally,
Gates of Agony, the only tag team right now that I could
say with Nick Wayne, but that's about it.
Yeah, and they finished that one off, and Nick Wayne got hurt, and I got it. Gates of Agony, shout out to Khan. I think that they got over with the Hurt Syndicate with Ricochet and stuff like that, so I will tip my cap to that. But I mean, it doesn't need to happen overnight, but you gotta give back, and you gotta put the younger generation over, or the younger than you generation, in my opinion. But let's get off of AEW for a little bit here and let's talk about, I don't want to get off of AEW entirely. Jordan, I know I'm going to go to you because, again, you had DM'd me, I think, Saturday and then texted me that you wanted to talk about this in terms of AEW and the ownership and all this other bullshit that was trending worldwide because of CNN. So why don't you go ahead and ask whatever questions you want to ask and I will answer them.
So there was the report about WBD, Warner Brothers Discovery, having some ownership stake in AEW. This is something you and I have talked about previously many times. And I would just like to know, what are your thoughts on that report that's coming out? What do you have to say about it? Because personally, it doesn't change much. I think if anything, it's kind of a good thing. And so correct me if I'm wrong, because if your partner also has a ownership stake, that means they also have a onus to give a good product, right? So
Sure.
the network has some sort of responsibility because they have an investment in it. There's a word I'm trying to use. They have an investment in their product. So,
but a rooting investment, a financial investment. They want to see the product.
They want to see the product exactly. So, a lot of people, saw it as Tony doesn't own all of it.
That's been known for over a year now.
Right. I've just seen some of the murmurs about this makes sense that Tony can't do this because of that, or Tony can't do, and I would just like to know your reaction. You know things that a lot of people don't. So I would just like to see what your thoughts on
that. First of all, before we get into that, I want to shout out Megan Keller. What a goal. Okay. Truthfully, the Team USA. Yep. I didn't get to see it because I'm doing this, but I appreciate.
Hey, I'm locked in all over the world.
I appreciate it. Jordan, to your first question, is it a big deal? Being tapped into many different things? No. In terms of being disclosed, it's not a big deal. Does Tony or WBD want it disclosed? Probably not. Maybe that's part of the agreement. I don't know anything that goes into that. Maybe they want to remain a silent partner, or they don't want to have, or maybe Tony made him sign an NDA because he doesn't want it out. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. What I will tell you is that this has been talked about and brought up for the past 2 years, or over a year, I should say. When the new deal was signed, there were murmurs of this and everything else like that. And now, for some reason, it's news. If you pay attention, Tony talked about this. And I understand that no major outlet has ran with it or has pinpointed it or whatever else. There's been multiple times where this report has gone out, not by CNN or one of the major, if you want to call them that, media outlets, whatever. I believe there was something else by the Hollywood Reporter, if you want to call them a major outlet. It's all, I guess your own perception. This is not news. If Tony was 95% owner, he'd say, I own 95% of the company. He has said numerous times, I own more than 90% of the company, which leads me to believe he either owns between 91 and 94%. Because if it was anything over 95, he would say, I own more than 95% of the company. Okay. And 90 is a very smart number. 10% and under, or 9% and under, you don't have to disclose this. That's the key point. I don't think Tony's ever going to sit back and say WBD owns 6% of this company. I don't believe it's a 9% ownership by WBD either. I don't think it's that high. What I will say is that Tony has stated this publicly. He stated it to numerous people privately as well, which have now gone out. And I don't think WBD is going to disclose it until they absolutely have to. And at that point, maybe Tony buys back the shares that have been allocated to WBD. I don't know. What I do know is that something that nobody's talking about, and I'm sure this is going to be clipped, the media rights deal was a facade, because truthfully, and I'm not saying it was a facade because they didn't get the deal. They did, obviously. But if WBD owns a portion of AEW, I'm almost 99.9% positive that All Elite Wrestling could not have open negotiations with another media entity to buy their media rights unless Tony was willing to buy back the shares that WBD owns. Or if, and I'm stating this as a or, not a fact, or their new media rights deal came with ownership, WBD being the person who got that ownership with the new media rights, which is very highly possible. But either way, when you're floating around, I'll give you 6% of the company if you give me a new media rights deal, that media rights deal is a little different now, okay? And I don't know how many companies, media rights buyers, could get into business or bed with AEW with Tony or anybody else dangling ownership, or if there was previous minority ownership during these media rights negotiations. So it's a two-sided coin. If AEW and Tony was dangling the carrot, I'll give you 5% of the company if you become our media rights partners and you give us X amount of dollars that we're looking for. Okay, great. But there's a lot of companies, media rights buyers, who can't get into that because they have non-competes, they have this, they have that, whatever the case may be. And now you're looking at a different thing. If WBD already had the ownership stake in the company while their quote unquote media rights was open and there was open negotiations and bidding, that becomes very messy because Tony's going to have to buy back the shares. WBD might not want to give back the shares. They might ask for more money on the dollar, all that other stuff that we'll never know until somebody wants to talk about it. But again, the media rights deal has a lot to be talked about and no one's talking about it. I'm not saying the media rights deal is not real. It clearly is. But you would assume that if WBD is paying this type of money that's been reported, and we've never seen anything with it, Sean Ross Sapp and Fightful had something out and they hammered down terms and there was other people who put it down. But if WBD paid this type of money to a company like All Elite Wrestling, they're a publicly traded company. You would assume that they would need to disclose this to their investors. That's a lot of money. But if they have an ownership stake in it, then they're basically paying themselves. So then is there that loophole where they don't have to talk about it? I don't know. But something that nobody's talking about is that.
Wow. That's one thing I found kind of weird is that, yeah, if there is this ownership stake, I don't know because I'm not the biggest business savvy guy, but is that not embezzlement?
I don't know if it's embezzlement. I mean, there's many ways to do business. And at the end of the day, this doesn't stop my enjoyment of the product. I don't really give a shit.
Drew called it a facade earlier, so you can call it what you want.
Facade and embezzlement's a little different. Embezzlement might send you to prison. A facade is not going to send you to prison, all right?
A facade will fall over. The other one.
Yeah, right. I mean, the embezzlement, see you later, adios.
Well, because you brought it because if I own this, but I'm paying myself,
sure,
then it's weird, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it up, because it's a situation that I don't think we've seen in wrestling at the very least.
No,
there was no USA has a stock ownership in WWE, like that wasn't a thing. As far as we know, Peacock had no stake in So this is like one of the first times we've heard or seen something like this. And so it's just, it's interesting because.
Again, everybody was talking about how, there it is. It's public now, WBD owns a stake, this, whatever it is. Nobody's confirmed it. Nobody has confirmed, and they probably never will while WBD and AEW are still doing business. The next media right deal, wherever it ends up, is going to be very interesting. And the sale of WBD to either Paramount or Netflix, because that's another whole pregnancy that I don't want to get into because it's nuts.
Yeah.
So the media rights deal for me, this past one, is a very interesting one that no one's talking about because of the potential minority stake that the entity, the media rights buyer for AEW, is on. They're paying. If this is the case, there's no bidding war. There was no other potential suitor, quote unquote. It was always going to be Warner Brothers Discovery. I mean,
Yeah.
We'll talk about the Jericho contract. I'm getting word that people are asked about it in the contract. We will talk about it. Trust me. It's a little bit more important right now.
Yeah.
It's just very, I'm not going to sit here and give everybody like a lecture on business, but this is not the norm.
I'm here for it.
It's not, but it's just that it's not the norm. You don't, if like to Jordan's point, if WWE gave NBCU a percentage of their media rights for SmackDown, I don't like that. It doesn't work like that.
I wonder.
I'm going to give you a percentage of the company. Okay. How much? Less than 10%. So you don't need to make it public. Okay. So now our media rights deal is up. Do you want to pay us well and above what? And I'm doing this so you guys pay attention. So pay attention. I'm going to give you well and above what you're worth right now in this landscape, because in this negotiations, in this, you're a free agent in terms of media rights. I'm going to give you well and above your market value because I am going to reap the benefits of this, because I am going to get a return on whatever business you do. WWE is not going to do that because do you understand what I'm saying?
Would you say that, because I saw this when the story came out, would you say that they gave up, AEW gave them a part of stake ownership as a negotiation tool for
that absolutely could have happened. I don't know this to that. And again, I've never seen this deal. I've never seen a confirmation in terms of annual average value or years. I know that it's 3 with an option, but again, we don't have anything that's public. We have reporting that's done by some reporters, which is great, and I respect them, but have they seen the contract? Do they have the contract that they could say, here it is, I know for a fact this is it? And no, we don't have that. And again, if Amazon's sitting there, right, Prime Video, or let's go to Google, whomever you want to name, and they're like, all right, you know what, AEW is worth about $275 a year, all right, which is high. I'm just using this as, let's just go 300 a year. Okay.
305.
Right. But WBD already owns a piece of AEW. I'm going to pay them $350 a year. And you're going to have Google back out, or you're going to have Prime back out. And then all of a sudden, like, hey, I need to see your books. Can I see what you guys do and the percentage of ownerships and all this other stuff? And all of a sudden you see WBD is a part owner in this, a minority owner. I got to get out. I can't compete with that. That's what I'm trying to say, that like when it came to the media rights, if there was already an ownership stake on WBD's side, there was no competition. I don't see how it could happen unless they're like, we'll go back and buy the shares. I shouldn't say it can't. It's just very complicated. I don't want to use absolutes. It would be very, very complicated for any other media rights buyers to jump in here and say, yeah, let me get into business in bed with AEW and their media rights. You got to get WBD out of ownership. And what happens if WBD says, I want you to pay me double what I put in? And Tony's like, no.
So I think, on the flip side of this, I think it's a benefit for AEW, and almost kind of solidifies their home as the Turner Broadcasting Network. Like, it solidifies it. Like, if this is where WBD is at, and if I have a stake in the company, I have no reason to not ever renew your deal. Now, I may renew your deal for lower than what it was or higher, but if I have an ownership stake in the company, it would behoove me to get a return on my investment. So therefore, when the TV rights deal is up, I would probably give you another one.
And WBD jumped in hook, line, and sinker. Let's put them on Wednesday nights. Let's get into the wrestling business again. And they jumped in.
And let's be honest, and they're full on behind it, because there are a few. Yeah. I'll be talking about, it's funny because this kind of ties into the subject of the Wrestle Collective podcast later today, which is corporatization in wrestling. You can tell, I don't care what anybody says, you can tell Warner Brothers Discovery is happy with AEW because of the corporate synergy that they've had. Anytime WBD needs AEW to do something for their network or vice versa, it's done in excellent quality. AEW DCKO, the comic book, was one of the top sellers for 2025. They had the fantastic integration for the House of Dragon, the season 2, I believe. So I can only imagine with season 3 just getting announced what the next AEW House of Dragon things is going to look like. There's been word that I believe a possible Adult Swim cartoon is coming with AEW, which, by the way, Adult Swim, which is Cartoon Network, which is Warner Brothers. So there's a lot of corporate synergy going on with Warner Brothers and AEW. Is it because of the ownership stake? Possibly, but it's obvious to me that they are happy with having an ownership stake in the company.
Yeah, you don't invest and stay invested, even in a minority standpoint, if you're not happy with something. And
staying invested is
and again, the eventual buy and merger of whatever's happening here with WBD will be very telling. But at the end of the day, it doesn't stop my enjoyment of the product. It doesn't stop me from. I was just saying that the media rights landscape, like if there's healthy competition for AEW stuff, might not have been accurate. They probably were always going to remain on WBD. So, but who cares?
The only thing that I could hope, out of talking about this, seeing that it's kind of outright, is let's get these pay-per-view stuff in order. This is something we've talked about, because if you're going to have an ownership stake,
AEW won.
But maybe that's another reason why WBD wasn't so gung-ho on making sure that the pay-per-views were available on Max, because they were getting a check no matter what.
Yeah, and I think that has a lot to do with it.
Maybe they were using the money from other, maybe they were using the money they were getting as being a minority partner to build the infrastructure. Maybe.
And that's what I, so I would hope to see, because we're barely through the first quarter of the year. So I would hope to see maybe some sort of announcement, some sort of, roadmap for a better structure with these pay-per-views, because again,
it's coming, Jordan, because if WBD ends up going to Netflix, AEW is not on WBD.
Exactly. So they're going to have to figure out something, regardless whether ownership or not. They're going to have to figure out something.
Juice, you want to chime in on here? You've been kind of.
No, I'm taking it all in. I am not one with a business acumen like you are, Drew, and I think that you presented a lot of interesting points there. And to your final points, where I can kind of jump in, not that I could care less. As long as things are on the up and up, and they're not hemorrhaging money like some companies have in the past, some that I call favorites, WCW.
Then I very fondly.
Yes, I don't think that there's a problem with how things have been going on thus far. Now, with the pay-per-view thing, like clearly that's a on its way out market, if not already there, considering UFC is just easily accessible on Paramount now, like it's nothing. And they don't care. They're making a lot of money. So like it's going to happen at some point with AEW, I would wager.
That's the other thing too, which is crazy. Tony Khan and the WBD stuff sent people in a tizzy. TKO it's not public, but they are 100% under Saudi money control.
Oh my God, yes.
There's a lot of companies that do that, and they're not out pushing it in front of everybody. But you'd have to be a moron not to understand that Nick Khan and Ari Emanuel, Mark Shapiro, and all those people on TKO are 100% at the beck and call of Turkey Al-Sheikh. So, I mean, like, I don't know what we're talking, and the Saudis. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
and it was reported that June 27th will be Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. So,
I was just about to say, like, how else do you think they literally bought a WrestleMania?
Oh, bro, they're gonna buy more than one WrestleMania. I wouldn't be surprised if we do back-to-back Saudis.
That would be.
No one will be pissed off about that.
TKO wants to recoup their investment. WrestleMania 41 was the largest, I believe. Brandon Thurston put it out.
Yeah.
Shout out to him. I don't know exactly what it. 66 million in ticket sales.
Shocker, the biggest gate ever, and that's why they're going back.
Right, because it was the most expensive ever. I mean, I looked at, I have the chart of the WrestleMania ticket prices. It's part of what I do for a living. This was the most expensive WrestleMania has ever been in terms of per ticket price and average per ticket price. They went back. They have deep rooted connections in Vegas. They're going to go back. They're going to hammer that market again. They got a hell of a deal. They're going to Saudi to make a shit ton of money. They're going to go back to Saudi to make a crap ton of money. And they're going to try and get themselves their initial investment back into the green. And this is what they're doing. I mean, there's a lot of different things happening in the world. You know, the NFL's in bed with Saudi Arabia too. I mean, it's not out in the open. I mean, speaking of Saudi Arabia, they just put this out here that ESPN will air, this is by WrestleVotes, ESPN will air a condensed version of the 2026 Royal Rumble this Sunday, February 22nd on ESPN, because there's content is king. There's really nothing else out there. And if we get a USA Canada gold medal game, which is for the men, which is not on any of ESPN's family networks.
Well, it's also at 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. So
yes, and there's nothing on. There's no football. Blah, blah, blah. Smart on ESPN. They should they should run condensed versions of all the pay-per-views or PLEs a month later. Because because by then, I mean, if you don't have it unlimited, you're going to wait a month to watch the Royal Rumble. Nah, wrestling fans want their content now.
But I think it's a genius idea because so I'm a big combat sports guy, right? Boxing, MMA. Hell, I was watching a K9 tournament the other day, which is kickboxing. A lot of people are unaware of the partnership between WWE and ESPN. They see it and it's like, oh, well, why are they talking about wrestling? Oh, Seth Rollins. Oh, So I think it's a genius idea to replay these
Royal Rumble ads during NFL playoff games on ESPN.
Oh, those were fun to listen to.
But you would be surprised about the amount of people who are unaware. These are people who watch First Take, and people who watch, the NBA halftime show, stuff like that on ESPN, and they don't know about
TKO
this. So
it was a brilliant idea. It was a brilliant idea. Just like when WWE was on Fox, it was brilliant for WWE, not for Fox. Fox got their ass handed to them, but good for WWE to be on there and get the exposure.
Nick Khan, ESPN now.
If he's one thing, Nick Khan is an absolute A1 Hall of Fame negotiator, and he always comes out on top. What
slights are and all. He definitely, because what did he say? The father of the owner of the that was a crazy slight.
Oh yeah, well I mean Nick's a competitor. I've met Nick,
but I like that. That's you need that. This is when it comes, especially when it comes to business. Like
he's an agent.
Yeah, I didn't take offense, and I don't think any fan should take offense to what he said because.
Oh no, he does everything with a purpose.
An agent named Nick that's not off the deep end.
Yeah. So I mean, again, Nick Khan does everything with a purpose. So if you took offense to him saying that the father, owns the company or whatever, I mean,
I thought that was an older clip. No,
well, Nick did it on purpose. He's not stupid.
No,
there's only room for one con in the wrestling business.
Yeah, and it's not some con man from Connecticut.
That people, they're firing from the hip these days.
Listen, if you're gonna fire, you got. I've always told people, if you want to joke around and you want to, be tongue in cheek, you better be able to take a slap on your face. Because if you can't, get out.
No, you got to. No.
Enter into the next power slap competition.
Yeah, well, there you go. There you go. And Jordan, if you're a big combat fan, I mean, TKO and Zuffa are getting into the boxing business.
Oh yeah.
And it's going to be terrible.
Well, Ronda Rousey's coming back. I mean, a lot of people are putting it down.
Can I pause on that really quick on how terrible of an idea that really is?
Why?
I'm going to tell you why it's a terrible idea.
For who?
Ronda Rousey's last fight was 2018, where she got destroyed.
The last 2 fights, she got beat up. Yep.
Yeah.
And then Gina Carano's last fight, I was fresh out of high school.
Gina
2009.
Carano was in Hollywood. Yeah.
But her last fight was against Chris Cyborg in 2009.
Bro, people tuned in to watch who is it? Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson.
Will people watch? Yes, but
then by nature it is a good idea.
Yeah. Ronda's got to pass all these
Okay.
concussion protocols that she
I'll give you that.
infamously put in her book that she would never be able to pass them.
Will people watch?
Oh.
Yes. Is it a good idea?
I read the book.
same, but it's the same way how there's car crash compilations and how you can't you gotta watch. You gotta watch
watching this. I'm
Hey,
watching.
it's gonna be better than Kimbo Slice and Dada 5000. So
nothing beats that. Hold on, nothing
man.
beats a man dying in the ring and resuscitating himself just to die again.
May Kimbo Slice rest in peace. I won't stand for Ronda slander. Ronda's. I'm just kidding. You could slander whoever you want. But
it's just not going to be a good, like, we're going to see two greats, because Gina Carano at the height was very good.
Everybody wanted to see this, and I understand everybody wanted to see this 10, 15 years ago. I hear you. But what I'm saying is be careful, because next year when they tried out The Rock and Roman Reigns and maybe Steve Austin and CM Punk, are you guys going to say the same thing?
I'm in agreement that this is a good idea. So
Absolutely, I will say this.
They should have the fight in the Lion's Den.
The thing is, it's if you just look at Gina Carano's last fight, and I'm not saying this because I dislike Gina Carano, because I strongly dislike her.
Jordan, this is a move for Ronda, not for Gina.
Because Gina needs the money because she lost her.
So stop 100%. Gina needs the money because the acting career, because of what she said when they like blacklisted her.
Irrelevant. Yeah.
She needs the money. I get it, and this is why this match is happening. Ronda, I talked to a lot of people months and months ago, and I said Ronda's coming back to MMA, and some people laughed at me, not Sean Ross Sapp. But some people laughed at me and were like, no way. And I'm like, I'm telling you, I know people who talk to Ronda, and I'm friendly with Ronda. I had been previously. Ronda wants her kids to see her fight. And this is a comeback for Ronda. This is, unless something crazy happens and Ronda breaks her jaw or breaks both her legs or gets knocked out or choked out or whatever, and it's an embarrassment, then obviously Ronda may consider this one and done. This is a launching pad for Ronda with a payday, relaunching pad, and Gina is getting money.
The better fight to me would have been Ronda Holly Holm. Because Holm,
but you have to think about it in money aspects for Ronda. Why go into the fight where she knows she very well could lose instead of putting in a fight you're going to make money and you're more than likely going to win and everybody goes home happy, and then you can ask Holly.
Ronda said that Dana wasn't interested in a Ronda Rousey return right now. This is her building her stock back up. Bro, you had Randy Couture take on Brock Lesnar. Randy was like so old.
You had Randy Couture take on James Toney. That was also terrible.
Right. I'm just saying. And this is a direct middle finger to Dana and that White House 100%. Event, because they said no to Ronda. And I mean, that's what they're doing. Ronda's going to fight. It is what it is. I'm here for it. I've always enjoyed Ronda. Ronda's always
it'll be fantastic. We are going to see we're going to see two women with the most ring rust I've ever seen.
I hope Ronda comes out and I respect Gina and wish her the best, but I hope she comes out and kicks a hole in her just so everyone shuts up.
Oh, I mean, I would love to see old Ronda come in, judo throw, arm bar, and let's go home. I would love to see.
We had to sit through Undertaker and Goldberg at Super Showdown, so let's not act like bald Shawn Michaels. So let's not act like we're not capable of having.
I remember,
oh my God, that was so bad.
I remember putting that on in my office. I had my own office at the time in St. Paul, Minnesota, and I put it on every television we had. I put on Super Showdown because I want to say it was an afternoon show. And I was like, Goldberg and Taker, some people were wrestling fans, some people weren't, but everyone knew who the hell Goldberg and The Undertaker were. And that match went off. And I was just like, boy, this is embarrassing.
it almost made me stop watching wrestling.
Yeah, it was bad, but it was a dream match, and I wanted to watch it. I wanted to watch it bad, and everybody wanted to see it. And then it happens, and some people just don't mesh. But this is combat. Ronda's going to go out and give it her all, and so is Gina Carano. They're both going to have a good match. So
I just wonder what the rest of the card is going to be filled out to be.
who gives a shit?
It's all about the main event. Come on.
Yeah.
The undercard's
Do you remember
not
who
gonna
fought
be
on
selling
Tyson
it.
and Paul? Who on the undercard? Because
No.
I don't.
Oh, I knew a couple of those guys, so I was.
I didn't say I didn't know them. I don't remember them.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, it's undercard, but I just the reason why I asked because this is a great opportunity to get Jorge Masvidal back into UFC or
Listen,
MMA.
Khabib,
ring.
Masvidal, all those guys. I said,
You know what I'm
Lesnar,
saying?
McGregor, they're all going to get a phone call, I believe, from Dana White sitting back saying, hey, I just had, arguably two of my biggest women's stars who I turned down, go do another mixed martial arts event, which is going to be very close to our White House event in terms of dates. So you guys want to come out here and,
I'll say this, and we can move on from but the Dana, I feel like Dana missed the boat because Gina Carano never officially fought in the UFC.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, she just missed the boat as Dana bought.
Wasn't she Strike Force? Or
she was Strike Force and Invicta, I believe, and she left right as Dana bought Invicta because that's what brought over Ronda Rousey. So I think personally, you kind of like
she was in Strike Force and Elite XC. You're right.
Elite XC, that's what, yeah.
Elite XC, that's where Seth Petrozelli, the pink hair guy, beat Kimbo.
Yeah.
Hey, Elite XC was great. With the pink hair, yeah. I think he missed the boat on having Gina Carano finally in a UFC octagon. Like that would have been kind of cool to see, and you could have booked it as the greatest fight that never happened.
Listen, and I'm going to say this. Ronda versus Holly Holm is probably going to happen if Ronda wins this match.
So I hope so.
It will. It will, because Ronda's going to want to try and quote unquote right all the wrongs and then maybe have a fight in UFC. And then by then Dana will say, all right, let's do it.
Well, he's letting he let Amanda come back so she can face Kayla Harris. So yeah. I could see if Ronda wins, I could see where Dana is like, okay, come back.
Speaking of contracts and things that are quote unquote happening
or frozen.
Yeah. Sean Ross Sapp reported that Chris Jericho's contract in regards to AEW has been frozen, which would make a lot of sense because I saw it, Juice, because he being Chris Jericho, which I don't think would ever be the tell anyway, but is still on the AEW roster page. But again, it makes a lot of sense because Jericho's contract was supposedly up in December, which means maybe mid-January he's available to be a free agent. And now if they're tacking on time, it seems like it's probably going to bleed into either the end of February, March, maybe even April. Now, I don't like the tactic. I think it's just dumb, truthfully. I think unless this person or persons are out there bashing you and your company, like a Ray Phoenix, which I thought was a really silly move by Ray, and some others, then you kind of just sit back and be like, all right, you know what? You want to play hardball? You could sit out.
He did flat out say that TNA was the number 2 company, and I think he said that purpose. Jericho.
Well, okay.
I think he said that purposely.
I think, but if Chris was set free, quote unquote, from his contract, if there was I think Chris would have been on that TNA show. I'm just telling 100%. You. And it was an atrocious show. So maybe, things happen. God works in mysterious ways. Maybe Tony did
gotten a little bit better and has plateaued. So good.
Yeah. They've had their best viewership in 18
years. The show
years.
Still stunk. I don't care that it could have drawn 10 million viewers.
The first show was terrible. I agree.
And Jericho said he looked like the number 2 company after Bound for Glory. Okay. And, the crowd was there after the Dudleys tag match with the Hardys, the tables match. Everybody split. But again, I digress. I don't like this type of stuff. It comes off very, very petty. And I had checked in. I was like, hey, is this real? Or is this just something that people are saying so that Jericho, the noise dies down and then we get the chamber or we get closer and closer to Mania and he shows up, blah, blah, blah. And they kind of said it without saying it. Like, I think Tony did, add some injury time or froze Jericho's contract. And I think it's solely because of what's going on. So
Go ahead.
Jordan.
Go ahead, Jordan.
I was going to say, thank you, man. I don't like it either because I like it. I don't like it, but I do like it. I don't like it because it's a little unethical, unethical and to because you're stifling somebody from continuing on their career. You're stifling somebody from.
Sure. I want to immediately disagree with unethical. Ethics don't work in pro wrestling.
Right. And so that and you're absolutely right. There's no room for ethics, in pro wrestling.
I can see why Tony wants to do this to WWE, but again,
yes, but
still, I get it. But at this point,
Jericho of all people, he was at Jericho's final ECW show. We all said that like he's got such a respect for him that he'll do whatever it takes to make sure it's not known that he's going to WWE.
And not to mention, like I understand WWE and TKO will do this too. It's just a tactic that they're going to do because they don't want the talent easily just going from place to place. You saw with Ciampa. I just don't like this because, again, the AEW fan base, and with all due respect to Chris, I do like Chris Jericho. The AEW fan base is not going to be like clamoring for a Chris Jericho return at this point. The WWE fan base is. So if Tony was like, well, you should have been here, Tony, the fan base, in my opinion, doesn't care if Jericho's gone.
And there's how many different people that we already have touched on earlier in this show that have filled a void that Chris Jericho left. So it's better off without it. They've been doing great TV without TV time.
So if you ask me, I think one of the partial reasons why this is just my kind of, crockpot theory is that I think Tony wants Jericho in a backstage position. I think Tony would like Chris Jericho to maybe do something more with the company.
For what?
If you ask me, so they got Jeff Jarrett on the live event side, which is a great.
Do you think Tony's gonna ask Chris for like advice and stuff? Because Tony books whatever Tony wants to do. Truthfully,
I think Jericho could do more for like their advertising and media. Because if there's anybody who knows how to sell something, it's Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho, say what you want. He turned the Jericho Cruise into a tax write-off for him.
Jordan, I am not arguing with you, brother. I'm with you, but it's got you. I mean. So I'm going to say this, but I mean, like AEW's merch department is terrible.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. I will tell you this as a person who I've on three different times have tried to buy something when they were here and they don't have it. Terrible.
But Chris Jericho could help in so many different facets if he was going to be utilized. They have guys backstage, Jerry Lynn, Dustin Rhodes, Billy Gunn, Taz.
There's a wealth of knowledge. Yes.
Yeah. And again, Tony has stated this is not a knock on TK. This is me saying that Tony has stated publicly that he has changed the process. He basically does everything. He'll take some input in terms of creative, and he doesn't like to listen to a lot of different people now because he felt like that was what got AEW off what AEW was off the rails. So Jericho would be an immense help creatively or backstage for AEW, but at the end of the day, why would
too many cooks?
Why would Jericho do that when Tony's just going to do what Tony wants to do because Tony believes that his vision is the vision, which is fine. He's the owner, fine. But I mean, why do you think Cody left? And I think Cody left because there's two reasons. I'll tell you. Cody left because he wasn't offered what he felt was quote unquote his market value, and that was a direct thing. Cody asked for some stuff and he said, nah. And Cody was like, I don't think that's your market value. And the other thing too, is that Cody wanted to help build the company, not only wrestling, but creatively. And that was all stripped away. Why would I stay? I'll go be the biggest wrestler in the other company.
I think if you want to keep Chris Jericho around, I think you do need to. I don't care what anybody says. That's a guy you want to listen to. Chris Jericho's a guy you want to
There's
listen
no
to.
argument there, but I mean, I think Jericho is going to go get the retirement run in WWE.
That's what I was going to say. Why would Jericho want to do something like that when he knows no matter how great of an idea Jericho might have, it's going to be probably futile in regards to if it gets approved or not or whatever, when he knows more likely than not, he can go to WWE, get a great return, get a retirement tour, and close out the career that he, put on the map by being, the mystery guy in '99. Like he was a great career in WCW and ECW, whatever. As soon as he goes to WWE, he became a huge star, defeated The Rock and Steve Austin the same night. So, like, why not go back there and close out what is a legendary career, quite frankly? So I don't think, his potential aspirations for inside the booking room will get in the way of that. But this freezing of his contract might.
I just don't understand it. I don't understand why we are in this position where, if this was Hangman Page, I'll use it as an example because realistically, he's never been there. The AEW fan base, even like Royce Keys, Hobbs, I would have probably froze Hobbs more than I would have froze Jericho.
But
yeah, you freeze a guy like that. You freeze an MJF contract because you don't want him to go to WWE.
Well, the reason why I say I understand it is because, again, like the competition level, the competition side, this is the same company who decided to counter program my biggest show of the year last year, who by all accounts made me change from 7 o'clock to what All In started at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. So you made me move. So why would I hand you another star? When I say another star, because he's already handed them plenty. Why would I hand you another star on a silver platter? Because Tony's smart. Tony's a wrestling fan. He knows that the Chamber's coming up. He knows that WrestleMania is coming up. And he knows, and I'm pretty sure he's aware that, hey, Chris Jericho insertion right now in Mania season would do numbers for them, would do gangbusters. So no, I'm going to stifle you to stifle them. I'm sorry, Chris, Mr. Urban. You're cool. I love you. But if I just let you go, that's going to hurt the overall of AEW.
And again, I'm sure that Chris will sit back and say, okay, you're going to add time. I get it. It's the business. You're going to pay me, right? And Tony's like, sure. And Chris is just going to be like, okay.
Okay.
But that I don't get. At this point, there are no residuals coming your way. Even if Jericho came back to AEW, the fan base has seen enough. Jericho did a ton. He helped AEW get off the map. Truthfully, they did that first world champion television deal, all this other stuff. Yeah. Like Jericho did a ton. I've said this a million times. Jericho reminded me a lot of what Hogan did for WCW. A lot of legitimacy. And it's done. Just let the guy go have his run. Focus on you. Stop. You say you're not this and that. You're not what WWE is. You're not Vince. You're not this. You're not that. But then we're doing these childish tactics. That's, and somebody's advising you that it's good business. It's just let him go. Let somebody else pay him.
But if he does go and then has the greatest elimination, whatever, wouldn't that hurt AEW? Like,
no,
you're giving more eyes.
Here's this, right? No, Jordan. I understand you're giving more eyes, but at the end of the day, Tony has limitless.
It's a tax write-off for him.
That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. I'm sorry. I like you, WrestleFish, but that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
So here's my thing. The fact that this, let's assume the story is true, that the contract is frozen and this is how it's going, and Jericho is going to end up in WWE. The fact that WWE fans, just wrestling fans, are already assuming he's going to be back there and clamoring for it. Right. Let him go, because now the longer you wait and the longer stories like this have time to permeate, he's going to be received even more in a positive light. And people are going to go, wow, AEW was stupid for
after the Royal Rumble. After the Royal Rumble, after we got through that, I would have sat back and been like, you want to know what? You're Chris, we're good. You're good. Go ahead. Go wherever you want. Because at the end of the day, people are talking more about, like us, how Jericho's contract's frozen. Had you done nothing after the Rumble. You want to block him from the Rumble? You want to be petty? Whatever. Go for it. You blocked him from the Rumble. Now you're trying to block him from WrestleMania? Who gives a shit? Let him go. Let him eat up somebody else's television equity time. And then that person will get disgruntled like a Ciampa or a Gargano, and they'll end up on your television.
Okay, I see where you're thinking even longer.
Yeah.
term.
Jericho's going to eat up television time. They're not going to pay him, bring him back, make a big deal about it. But we got to, you know what? We got to work smarter, not harder. Jericho, thank you for everything you've done. Let WWE pay you and let you eat up equity on their television. And somebody over here is going to get their television cut, here being WWE, because Chris Jericho's coming in. Granted, big name, the fan base is going to rejoice. But a guy like Ciampa and Gargano, or let's say the War Raiders or another team, whatever, the Viking Experience, whatever the hell they're going by now, they're going to want to get out. And we're not getting any television time. Working main event, working speed, whatever the case may be. Yeah, man. Yeah. I don't care how much money Tony Khan has. This is a dumb way to spend your money. If you want to give me $300,000, I'll sit back here and praise your product. I'm only kidding. But I mean, like, it's just ridiculous. Like, he has unlimited money, so he should just freeze people? Nah.
Because it's freezing bridges instead of burning bridges, where people are like, why would I go to AEW if by the end of my contract I can't even get out when I thought I was supposed to, and I'm not being utilized? Like, you're causing me to lose money and exposure, and time is money. So like, the longer
that's the other thing. Yeah.
Like, a guy like Jericho's established he can handle this. But imagine a guy that wants to go, like, if it was Royce Keys, get me the hell off the books.
Well, that's the other thing too. Remember when Cody came over, everyone was like, and I said it, they were like, oh, Cody's here. But I said, this is a test. If WWE gives Cody the full run and he's main event and he's this and he's that and he's in major programs, more AEW talent will flock to WWE, because they'll be like, okay, I see that they did him right. They'll do at least the best they can by me. Same thing goes with this stuff. I'm going to go sign a big contract with AEW and Tony Khan. All right. If I get hurt or I got to take time off, they're going to freeze me out for a little bit. And like you said, an established guy like Jericho, it's fine. I just wouldn't do this. I don't like the precedent. Spend your money elsewhere and get these other guys to come over to your company, because Jericho is going to eat up television time.
And the fact that it's happened more than once is frustrating, that it seems like a pattern, that this is like what he wants to do.
I like the overall idea of where you're going. It's no, let them go. Let them eat up their time, because that's just going to do nothing but bring, because if Jericho goes, when Jericho goes, that's somebody's TV time.
Yeah.
That was originally blocked for someone else that he is now going to take.
Yeah. Let's just say it's Jericho and LA Knight at WrestleMania. Who's off the WrestleMania card this year now?
Right.
2 nights. Who knows?
There's only so many matches, man.
There's only so many matches, because you got to get those 8 different commercials. Shout out Dude Wipes. So,
speaking of WWE and WrestleMania, we had a crate show up. What's in the box? Everybody is talking about what's in this box that is set to open at Elimination Chamber. We saw Adam Pearce tell the showrunner to take that to SmackDown. It'll be Nick Aldis's problem, which I think Nick Aldis might say, take this to NXT. I think that the box is going to go to the 3 shows that WWE has. Now, a lot of people are putting a lot of pressure on the box, and I want to send my condolences and my well wishes to that box, because it is going to be hard to make that debut, or whatever it is, whoever it is in that box,
just the box,
be impactful. Now, at the end of the day, I don't think anything significant in terms of a main event player or anything else like that is going to be in the box. And I see a lot of people on social media.
Why do you say that? Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of people on social media are like, are we really supposed to believe that somebody could survive 3 weeks in a box? Bro, it's wrestling, dude. It's wrestling. You saw a man come out of an egg. You saw a hand being birthed. Cut it out. It's wrestling. All right, we supposedly saw.
You have to remember
the
these people
Undertaker
probably
brought
weren't
his
alive.
Whole family to the ground, and his brothers survived. All right,
We all know.
You have to remember some of these people weren't even alive when these stories took place, though,
Yeah.
Drew. So
We all
tried.
know it's gonna be brother love in the box, okay?
Well, and here's the other thing, Jordan. I said it could be Danhausen. I made some reference that could be because it would make sense. I mean, that type of character.
You seem pretty direct on that, though. Like,
It makes
come on.
it makes sense. Danhausen's not going to lose any steam, or people aren't going to look at him.
I think Danhausen should be the masked man.
Okay. All right. But the other thing too is maybe it is somebody's attire that is going into the Hall of Fame, and that's the next inductee into your Hall of Fame. Maybe it is AJ Styles's jacket. Maybe it is Demolition's gear. I don't know. Maybe it's something like that. Or maybe, like, I believe it was Hannibal. Shout out to him. What I thought this idea was pretty good too. That it's maybe the demon paint for Finn Balor. And that's how you get Demon Balor against Punk in Chicago. That works too. I mean, but that works too. Maybe it's a picture of the demon or whatever. That works too. It works. But for people to put so much emphasis that it's Jericho or this or that.
I'm not okay. No, don't say come on, because what did you just say? It's pro wrestling and anything can happen. So wrestling fans are conditioned to it's a mystery.
Juice, if Chris Jericho's in that box, what are we doing?
Sting was underneath that wrap, and it was like melted his face paint off when he,
that was different. It was a Seth Rollins trophy.
It was,
I'm just saying,
I was there.
But that was critically panned as well, though. No one liked that.
Well, it doesn't matter if it was panned or not, but I'm just saying things have happened before.
I didn't hate it.
It could be believable.
If the crate was going to show up at the beginning of Elimination Chamber, and then
we don't know. It just says 228.
Right, and they're hyping it.
My thing is, do you blame fans really for having the speculation? No, that's stupid. We want it to be something exciting. God forbid we want a surprise in professional wrestling. We got a masked man and we got a crate.
Let's go. Gobbledygook again. Okay.
I hope it's like some poster. I hope it's some poster for another event.
I hope it's the announcement that WrestleMania 44 is going to be in Saudi Arabia too. Do it again.
I mean, the only thing that I can honestly, legitimately think
it's Chris Jericho's contract.
It's because if it's a person, then obviously logic is going to be like, how did they survive in this box with no holes?
Forget logic. They don't care because the Masked Man's the same thing. Just because the Masked Man could have been Grayson Waller at one of the shows doesn't mean he's going to be the guy revealed.
It's wrestling.
So who cares who's in the box?
There's holes in the crate. I mean,
yeah, you could come up with anything.
Here's the other thing too. Danhausen fits, doesn't it? It's a good debut. He's not going to lose any momentum. That's the type of character. Jericho doesn't fit this stuff. He doesn't fit this.
No, because why would Jericho put himself in a box and ship himself to WWE?
Because he's reinventing himself because he wants to get out of that contract. Is the only way he can get out of AEW is being shipped to WWE.
If it was Jericho's light up jacket or the list or whatever, that
could be in there. Yeah.
No, I think it now once you I do think it will be a collection of different things.
It doesn't have to be a person. It could just be an allusion to a person. And again, all it has to do is drum up speculation, CM Punk at the first dance. You don't have to say anything, and we all know what's going to happen. So if you give us one lick of Jericho's gear, you know that soon you'll see him. And that's all I want.
I like the Finn Balor stuff because Finn Balor versus Punk has a lot of it has some momentum.
Sure.
And if it is going to be the demon, it's like the headdress for the demon or whatever, that works.
I almost prefer the demon face Dom, though. I'd rather him wait.
Who opens the box? Because it was shipped to Adam Pearce.
And who, regardless, it's going to be open, ideally, at the PLE. So anybody who's at the PLE could open it. Could either GM be there?
Does it open the show? Is it a vignette in the middle of the show? Is it you know what I'm saying?
Last year in Chamber, we had John Cena turning heel, and this year we get a crate being open. What's in the pro wrestling crate this month?
It's I don't know.
It's Cody's soul.
I'll put it to you like this.
Yeah, as long as it's not something like, again, I don't have high hopes.
What's the word? Yeah, but that's the thing. This is the good. This is all good. This is why I can't.
The worst thing would be like the official Saudi Arabia WrestleMania poster. That would be the worst.
Oh God!
And we already got the video game stuff taken away. So like, it's not going to be the cover of video games. So we're already past that. what else could it be though that's realistic yet horrific? Like what's like the worst possible?
I mean, I think
scenario?
what a lot of
be
people are going to get
announcing-
mad. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it could be the announcement for because they love a host for WrestleMania. It could be an announcement for the host.
Danhausen hosting.
Yeah, that won't happen. But I think what would the fan base would be upset about or mad about that your Thunder season is over.
Yeah, I know.
Take that as an
I
omen.
know, right?
But I will say that the fan base would absolutely kind of revolt if it was something I mentioned where it was a Hall of Fame type of like the next person going into the Hall of Fame is this person from Demolition or whatever. People be like, really? But at the end of the day, like you set your hopes really high on this box. We all know what happens when you set your hopes high on a box. Don't do it.
We just like mystery, Drew, and intrigue, and that's why we hate that every Royal Rumble person is announced ahead of time.
Juice, if this was AEW and they were constantly doing masked men or a box gimmick, people would be destroying.
Well, no, they would have the crate in the ring, but then they'd shut the lights off for the crate to be open.
All right, I think we're good here. Juice, last prediction. What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
I wouldn't mind some sort of like like an attire, like some demon, like that works. I'm more curious. Is it directly related to the storylines, or is it for the Hall of Fame or something? You know, like is it canonically themed where it's who's coming back, who's gonna do this, or is it just we're celebrating this? Like, is like the clues there? Like people, you know, the list is like the clipboard. Is the crate anything? Like is opening a box anything that was like it can't be Chainsaw Charlie, unfortunately. Like, does that mean anything, or is it just this is how it came?
Maybe it's like the new virtual reality game that WWE is going to put out. And here's the unveiling of it. Because I know they've been testing that and stuff like that, the VR stuff. I really don't know. If I'm going to make a guess in terms of like a talent, I'll say it's either Danhausen, but I'm going to
Hendry.
No Joe Hendry. I'm going to go, I'll say this. Okay. The reason I said Danhausen was because A, it fits. It doesn't do anything to his character. It would actually, I would think, launch the character because a lot of WWE people, fan base are not familiar with this guy. They're not. Now, the AW fan base and the IWC absolutely is. My son has no idea who Danhausen is. And I bet you if he has some 13 or 14
by the next week.
Well, yeah, exactly right. And that's the thing that I'm trying to say. But I will say this about Danhausen. He is WWE bound. That is happening. Whether it's NXT, Raw, or SmackDown, he's going to be on
your
WWE
new
television.
Speed champion, Danhausen.
Right. Well, and they're going to make a shit ton of money off
or anything. Yeah, merch.
No doubt they're going to make a ton. But I will say I think it's probably something to do with the Hall of Fame or Danhausen. I don't think it has anything to do with Chris Jericho, and I'd love to be proven wrong. Jordan?
Has Triple H officially been inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Last year.
It was like, okay. So it can't be Trips because when I'm thinking Hall of Fame, I'm thinking like because I was thinking it could be like the Sledgehammer, and it would say like Hall of Fame bound. So
well, Steph's going in. So I mean, we already have that.
So there could be something with Stephanie or
it's Cena's jorts on a hanger.
John Cena's not going into the Hall of Fame this year. I'm going to say this. I think you have a higher percentage chance that AJ Styles goes into the Hall of Fame this year than you do John Cena.
There's a lot I'll say about that privately. I think legitimately, if it's a person, it's a talent, Danhausen, it makes sense. It's up his alley. He's going to show up with a jar full of teeth. But I you got me thinking, I'm leaning more towards the next Hall of Fame announcement because we have not had another. And so I'm trying to think.
At least you're not setting yourself up for disappointment. And this is why I bring this up. Everybody should kind of take a step back and realize it's a box. Who is going to be over or have a major impact coming out of a box? Danhausen would be a good introduction. But any of these guys or girls you're talking about, I saw Jericho in the comments. I saw Paige. I saw Britt Baker. Like, are you on drugs? Are you on drugs?
Yeah, what would that do for their character? Like Danhausen, it makes sense. I don't want to say he's a comedy character. So for Danhausen, it kind of makes sense. I'm trying to think though, like Hall of Fame wise, like what object would represent the next Hall of Famer? Like, I can't think of anything that
Well, if it's AJ Styles, it could be his.
It could be the gloves. It could be the vest. It could be
sure.
the mask. You know what I'm saying? I could see that. So if it's AJ Styles, you know, into the Hall of Fame, I could see that. But so yeah, I'm gonna lean. If it's a person, Danhausen, but I'm leaning more towards a Hall of Fame announcement because we haven't had any
other than Stephanie.
Other than Stephanie, yeah. So it makes sense.
All right, Juice. This was fun. Where can everyone like, subscribe, and follow you?
At Juicy Steen on Twitter. At Juicy Wrestling Closet on Instagram, where on March 1st, we will be doing the hashtag 30 Days of Wrestling tees. So I'll be showing all of my WCW pay-per-view shirts and maybe some other ones that they'll like to sprinkle in there as we lead up to WrestleMania. They always like to do that little hashtag to show some of our favorite shirts. Go ahead, Jordan.
Are these like vintage, like from the year shirts?
All my shirts are like, if you've ever checked out my Instagram, they're all the real shirts. Yeah. From the shows.
Juice has like, they are authentic. Yeah. He's got them from like people who worked in the company or like people who
they're either crew shirts or they're the ones you can buy at the event. And when you watch some of these events and you don't see hardly any of the shirts being worn, I wonder how many are even available. So that's why I like getting them too.
So Jordan, let me give you a not a background of Juice's closet because it's immense. There's a ton of WCW pay-per-view t-shirts. But when I was working for the Nassau Coliseum, we would bring in people from the union, or we'd bring in people to help tear down and set up. And when WWE came into town and WWF, we would hand them t-shirts from the event that would say, you know, WWF Fatal 4 and it would Fatal 4-Way and it would say crew. So Juice has a bunch of that type of stuff. It doesn't necessarily mean that a superstar wore it, but somebody who worked at that event or that day had the t-shirt.
Do you understand how cool like that I think that's a better shirt than anything. We gonna have to talk because that's really dope.
Yeah,
man.
I got a lot of it's all about the artwork, and because it's my favorite company I grew up with, so I'm trying to get a shirt from each pay-per-view from 1990 to 01, because even though 91 was when they changed from NWA to WCW like all the way, 90 is just like a nice solid number. Everything from 97 to 01, I've got them all, but the other years I still need, I think
97 to 01. You have them all, you said?
I have everyone.
So you have Greed?
Oh yeah, I got Greed. Super Brawl Revenge.
What's the last
Greed,
pay-per-view?
Sin.
New Blood Rising.
The last one was Sin.
Greed. No, the last one was Greed.
Yeah, Greed. Yeah. Good. Yeah, it was Sin and then Greed. Yeah.
New Blood Rising was August of 2000. In Canada.
I didn't watch.
Not
WCW.
many people did.
I didn't watch WCW past. I think the last WCW pay-per-view I actually watched was when Booker T won the title. That was it, and I was just like, "Great, he's accomplished it." And then I believe the next night on Nitro, or a couple days after on Nitro, didn't they take the championship off of him?
It depends on what you're referring to, because he won the title at Bash of the Beach 2000 when Hogan laid down for, Jarrett laid down for Hogan.
And then didn't they take the title off of him?
I'm not sure.
They didn't. It was, I want to say, vacated after that.
Probably vacated, if anything.
Yeah, which I thought was bullshit, and I was like, I'm done with this.
Well, let's
because they vacated during that year. They vacated it 6 times.
Yeah. All right.
Oh yeah. So and then so that's that. And then one last plug: Juicebox 200 episode live tonight. We're gonna run it. Don't normally do live stuff on my own, but it'll be a fun little hang. People can come in.
Offended.
Drew, you're invited. I'm inviting you publicly over the airwaves so that there's no way your invite could get lost in the mail.
Nice save. Nice save.
But 8 o'clock roughly.
I heard you were in trouble for mail fraud, Juice.
It's under investigation.
Yeah,
pending further investigation.
Broken stereo, $400.
That's right. Yeah, it's insured for $400. It's a write-off for them. But if you want to hop in, just send me a DM or something, and I'll link you in, and you can come on and talk for a little bit. I don't know how long it's going to go, but we're just going to shoot the shit, talk wrestling, and have a good time celebrating 200 episodes of my Rinky Dink show.
Good for you. Congratulations. Not Rinky Dink at all. Jordan.
No, it's not.
The Wrestle Collective is not rinky dink, but why don't you talk about that as well? Where can everyone like, subscribe, and follow you?
You can follow me at slick_flair91 or follow the Wrestle Collective at WC Worldwide or on our YouTube channel, the Wrestle Collective YouTube channel, as today, here in about 2 hours, we're going to be talking about some corporatization in wrestling, some good examples, some bad examples, things you like, things you hated, because corporatization in wrestling, it's happening. There's going to be a lot of, because with the dude wives thing, and then, you got the Slim Jim tables, excuse me. So there's a lot to talk about when it comes to corporatization in wrestling. So definitely check out the Wrestle Collective, 6 o'clock Eastern, the Wrestle Collective YouTube channel. Definitely check us out.
All right. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow both of these gentlemen. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow Final Bell Media for our No Dirt, Just Dialogue podcast. Make sure you guys hit the bell for notifications so that when we go live, you will never miss an episode. I believe this is episode 12 or 13. We've been hitting a real good stride here in terms of viewership. We're over 400 already for the day here on both my X and YouTube. So we thank you all for joining us. I am at Andrew Baydala. Juice, where are you at in terms of X?
At Juicy Steen.
In
Jordan.
Slick_Flair91.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
Quick questions here. Let's see. Cena definitely going, this is a statement, Cena definitely going into the Hall of Fame next year in Saudi. I 100% agree.
Next year, you say? So you don't think they let the idea of John kind of be away?
If I had it my way, because selfishly, I want John to go into the Hall of Fame in the United States, but that's going to be a John and WWE call. And I could tell you this, that Saudi offered John Cena a ton of money to not only be on this year's WrestleMania, but next year's WrestleMania. So it's going to depend on what WWE, TKO, and John end up wanting to do. Somebody says they hope it's Joe Hendry in the box. No.
Gosh, no. Say his name in? No. No.
All right. Again, I'm Andrew Baydala. That is Jordan Carter. That is Juice Springsteen. We thank you all for joining us here today on this fine Thursday. The USA wins gold for the women's hockey. What a goal. A lot of stuff going on tonight in the world of sports as well. So enjoy it. Enjoy the Wrestle Collective. Enjoy the Juicebox 200 live episode. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my day and get back to work here. Wish you all the best. Catch you guys and girls next week.